We start today with what I hope will be the last time I will ever mention the name Kim Davis on this program. You know, people who have been watching this show, listening to our podcast from back in the day when gay marriage was legalized nationally, you may remember this woman. You may remember that kooky, conniving, conceited, and condescending Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis. This is the woman who proudly and courageously denied a gay couple a marriage license, even after the Supreme Court ruled in 2015 state bans on gay marriages are illegal. She said, I am going to do it because I am a proud Christian and whatever. And there were anti-gay advocates who raised their hands with her hands and cheered that she was doing this heroic thing. And I said at the time, what is this woman's legacy going to be? It's so obvious that gay marriage was an inevitability in the United States. It's so obvious that 10 years from now, we will look back at Kim Davis and say how stupid her behavior was. She thought she was going to be able to do something heroic and notable by refusing a marriage license when it is obvious that this is going to be no big deal a decade from now. And indeed, that is where we are. And the final insult is that Kim Davis must now pay $260,000 in legal fees over that same-sex marriage license refusal, in addition to $100,000 in damages that she should pay the couple who sued her. You know, I don't take pleasure in people's misfortune, but I take pleasure in just outcomes. And what this woman tried to do, as supported by the homophobic religious right, was say, I don't care what the law is. I'm going to do whatever I want. And as a representative of the government, what she did was wrong, and there is now a penalty. The Guardian reports, Kim Davis, the former county clerk who refused to issue marriage licenses in Kentucky to same-sex couples, must pay a total of $260,104 in fees and expenses to attorneys who represented one couple, according to a federal judge's ruling. That's in addition to $100,000 in damages. A jury said the former Rowan County clerk should pay the couple who sued. Attorneys for Davis argued the fees and costs that the attorneys wanted were excessive, but the U.S. District Judge David Bunning disagreed and said Davis must pay since the men prevailed in their lawsuit. Attorneys for Davis are expected to appeal the ruling. Davis drew international attention when she was briefly jailed in 2015 over her refusal. Despite the Supreme Court's legalization of same-sex marriage, she based her refusal on the belief that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Well, that was her feeling. It wasn't the fact. And it wasn't the fact as decided by the highest law in the land, the Supreme Court. When I think about legacy, first of all, she seems moronic. I mean, quite frankly, many of us knew it at the time, okay? It's sort of like we can tell that in the future there will be more normalization and legalization of cannabis. We just know, we can tell. It's very obvious, and it's state after state after state. We know the direction it's going. We could tell at the time that obviously in the future of the United States, marriages between any two consenting adults, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, etc., were going to be legal. And as we now see the obvious nature and inevitability of that as the law of the land, her faux activism back in 2015 seems even more pathetic. But this really reminds me about a statement that Arnold Schwarzenegger gave last year. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, when addressing these vile right-wing movements, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, etc., that have cropped up and coalesced in the Trump era, Arnold said, you know, my dad was on the side of hate. And when you are on the side of the hate movement, when you are on the side of the discriminatory movement, you end up being a loser in history. And Arnold said, don't be like my dad. Don't be the equivalent of that today. Don't be the neo-Nazi. Don't be the white supremacist. When you take the side of hate, you tend to end up a loser, as history will see you. And that is exactly where County Clerk Kim Davis is ending up. and that is the right